Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for having me here. I am thrilled to be speaking with you today about the art of fundraising. And the reason is, I know that not everybody loves it. In fact, most people don't. So D2, is that the right name? G2. Sorry. Now I know that I'm not going to forget it. So I hear you love asking for money.
I don't mind at all.
So you are the one in this room who likes asking for money, because that's about
Because he also
right.
likes to spend it.
You don't like to spend it. Very good, very good. So we're going to talk about how the rest of us can get comfortable with that. And the rest of us can get into fundraising in a way that can make us better at what we do. Because there's a lot within you that you're already doing right. But we hear about fundraising and it can give us the hives. I ran a nonprofit for 7 years. And my board worked hard at this work. And I will tell you, we brought them to a fundraising training. And they started out at the training and they said, fundraising is fun. Fundraising is fun. And my board was like, I don't think so. I don't really think it's that fun. But I know I have to do it. I know I have to get better. And you can do it in a way that can be true and authentic to you and in a way that will make sense for your very, 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 very helpful to your very important cause. So that's what we're going to talk about today. A couple of ground rules, if you would, if you have a smartphone and you'd like to tweet or put on Twitter or Facebook some of the stuff we're talking about today, please do. We're going to be talking about some important fun stuff. And it's good to share the word. Here's my Twitter handle. You may use this if you're going to say nice things about me. If you are not going to say nice things about me, that is fine. Just don't include my handle, because I don't really need to know that. Otherwise, please do keep your phones down, turned off, and if you need to take a call, please take it outside. We're all going to be working hard for the next bit of time to get you guys even more ready to bring in some support for your organization. So I appreciate that. First thing I'd like you to do is think about what first got you involved with your VA rep chapter. How did you first become involved in it? What was the kind of impetus? Was it a person? How did you first wind up being kind of brought into that fold? So think about that for a second. Okay, so I want everybody to make eye contact with one person at their table. And the person, this is funny seeing there's a lot of military here. The person with the shorter hair can go first and share. I've never actually this is usually easier. So share with that one person your story about how you got involved with VA Rep. Okay? And then when I say switch, the other person too. Okay? Go. There are 2 reasons why people become involved in nonprofits. Like I said, I ran a nonprofit for 7 years. And it's really about why people give. It's about why people get involved on boards. 2 reasons. Number 1, they care about the cause. Number 2, someone that they cared about or got to know asked them to. That's it. So if you think about how you got involved in VA Rep, or perhaps how you got involved in another nonprofit, or maybe you're on a board of some kind, chances are 1 or 2 of those things, or it sounds like actually both of those for a lot of you, are what happens. So you got interested, you started finding out what VA Rep was about, and then you got involved with someone or started talking to someone who got you involved specifically, right? So that's what this is about. Now when we talk about the board work and trying to get people involved with your chapter and in your chapter, you are the greatest ambassador. I think I'm going to need to switch on the remote to mine, if possible. And could you flip the slide for me for now? Thank you. Okay, so you are the greatest ambassador. You are the ones. Why? Because you get why VA Rep is important. You understand it, you live it, you know it day to day. Other people are not going to get that. And you're not getting paid to tell people about it. And that's the thing that happens with nonprofits. When you're on a board, sometimes you have staff who are paid. And when I ran my nonprofit, I love my nonprofit. I could get anybody, I could talk about it to anybody. But I was being paid to do that. As boards, you're out there volunteering, giving your time, talent, and treasure, acting in the almighty role of fiduciary agents, and giving your time so you can say, I'm involved because of X. And here's why I think you might want to be involved too. And you can speak on that in a very authentic and pure way. So that's why it's so critical that this role of the board ambassador that you play be done in the excellent way that you all can do as authentically as possible as you can do it, which is what you're going to be about. Thank you. Okay, so how do you, or what does it mean to be an excellent ambassador? Everybody know Bruce Springsteen, right? So he's sitting there, you don't see him singing right now. What you see him doing is reaching out to the audience and getting everyone else involved. So what it means when you're talking about it is you're talking about VA Rep in a way that is so exciting, that is so true to why you find it interesting, that other people get excited as well. Your energy, we're going to talk about this, energy begets energy. When you talk about your chapter and what it's doing, when you tell them the story about how you got involved, when you tell them your favorite memory, they're going to want to be a part of this too. Getting other people excited when you're playing that role of excellent ambassador, it's not just about preaching to the choir, it's about getting the choir to preach for you. Right? See the difference? You can stand there and talk at people, and that's exciting, and that's fine. But when you get other people to say, you know what, I just met someone from VA Rep, and let me tell you the difference that it makes. Let me tell you why it's so exciting. Then other people will go to their colleagues and say, wow, let me tell you what's going on. I think we need to go to this event. I think I need to tell you more about it. I think we should both support it. So it's not just about telling others, it's about getting them to preach the same message to their circles. And that's how you get exponential support moving forward, right? So how do you do that? It's easier said than done. We're going to talk about a couple of ways you can be the excellent ambassador, some of which has to do with getting money and some of which doesn't. Okay? So we're all starting at our own starting point. And everybody can be comfortable. You are all here. You have all, on your time and on your dime, it sounds like in a lot of cases, come here because you believe in this cause so much. You care. That's where it all starts. Getting money isn't just about that piece of paper. We pretend that piece of paper is not personal. There's nothing more personal, really, than money. I'm going to talk about why that is. So to go and ask for money, that's a little bit tricky, which is why we can start and do that. But really what it's about is getting other people excited so when you ask for money, they want to be part of it. So change your thinking. When you're asked to fundraise, if you have an event and you're asked to get somebody to come to your event, you start to get a lot of pressure because it's very quantitative. You think, does anybody here look at Gila or do a lot of fundraising events where you have to get people to that event, or you're expected to bring in a certain amount of money? Kind of wake up thinking about that money. You think about how much left you have to do. Maybe you go to your buddy and you say, look, I have to get this money. Can you help me out? We have this thing coming up. Change your thinking. What you're really doing is telling others about something that matters so much to you that you're here today and doing this amazing work and giving them the opportunity to get involved too because you know it's important. The money is one of the ways you do that. But we become fixated on the money that we're supposed to be bringing in. And I'm not saying the money is not important. I'm saying what we lose sight of when we think about fundraising is what we're fundraising for. We go out there and we ask for money and we feel like we're asking money for our rent or for our groceries. It feels very, very personal. And we forget we're actually a conduit to something amazing that we love this much. So we need to change our thinking about that fundraising word and talk about VA Rep everywhere. Talk about it everywhere. When you're done being here for the next few days and you go back and you're engaging someone on the plane and they ask you what you're doing, well, I was just involved in a leadership academy for VA Rep. Let me tell you about it. It's amazing. Here's what it does. Here's my favorite story. Here's my favorite memory. Here's why it matters. Here's why it might matter to you. Begin to think about it that way and start talking about it this way. Think of it this way too. Recently, have you seen a movie that you really loved, or read a book that you really loved, or ate at a restaurant that you really loved, and you couldn't wait for the next day to come so you could tell people about it? You couldn't wait. I saw Steve Jobs, the movie, on this past weekend, and I'm telling everybody I knew that I saw it because I loved it that much. You need to see Steve Jobs' movie if you're at all interested because it was that awesome. It was very, very good. Loved it. So that's the enthusiasm. When you're talking about it, you want to get other people as excited as you are, as interested as you are. And that, for some reason, when we ask about money, when we ask for money, we kind of lose that enthusiasm because it becomes all about that kind of close. And we're going to talk about how to actually do the ask, the anatomy of the ask. We're going to talk about that. But even when we're thinking about going into it, we just want to do it in a way where we're remembering why it's so important to us and spread that energy, right? We want to put it in our personal elevator pitch. So when people ask you what it is that you do, especially when we sit on boards, we say, okay, my name is Deirdre, and I have this business, I do this for work, and I have this family. And then you want to add, oh, and I'm involved in this organization called VA Rep. We don't think about doing that. Does anybody here belong to a Rotary Club or some kind of club that meets every week or an association? You do all kinds of swapping of information. I belong to Rotary too. When you make it part of your personal elevator pitch, and people say, what is it that you do? I do this, I have this life, and I belong with this organization. start integrating it into your personal elevator speech about who you are, because it's that important, or else you wouldn't be here. Attend events if there are some, bring people to them, let them see the work that you're doing as much as possible. I know it's tricky with your mission, but that actually bring people along to actually see your services, but I'm sure there are ways that you can help people really understand the difference that you're making. If you have any tchotchkes, if you have any VA rep, do you guys do tchotchkes, any kind of water bottles or name tags or anything like that you can do even for your chapter? It's really helpful to start a conversation with someone. If you have a water bottle, especially in California, we're big on the water bottles. Put it down on a piece of paper, or put it down on a table that says VA rep. And people say, what is it? What's that? Or you're wearing a baseball cap that has it on there. Or shirts, I see shirts. So all of a sudden, you're wearing that out, and you don't even have to start the conversation. I see VA rep shirts everywhere. People might ask you what that's about. So wear it proudly. Spread information about VA rep on your social media. A lot of times your chapter might have a Facebook page or something like that. It means even more. You want to use those, but it means even more when you use your own. Because your personal circles are going to listen to you. You're the ambassador, right? So when I belong to my Rotary Club, I can go on our Rotary page and say, that was really a fun meeting. But if I spread it to my circles, then they're going to know I'm involved and they're going to know and ask me questions. And sometimes you forget to do that on our own. Whenever you come across someone, just ask to yourself, might this be someone who might be interested in VA rep? Whether it's on a personal level, whether it's on a plane that you're there, whether you're sitting waiting for your seat at a restaurant, if they seem interested, tell them more about it and follow up. And then do what you say you're going to do, right? So if you say, I'm going to get you some information, get their card and send them the information. And that's the thing you want to do. You want to get their card or get their information. A lot of times when we talk about this kind of thing, we give them our card. And we say, if you email me, I'll send you information. And then your card just kind of goes into the black hole of life because everybody's busy. But if you get their card and you remember what you're supposed to do and you write on the back of it, oh, I'm going to follow up with information, then you can do that. Right? So there's people in our lives everywhere. We all have very busy lives. We're all involved in either an office job or something else, where there might be people around us who might be interested in VA rep that we have not yet told about it. So what I want you to do right now is think of one person in your circles who you can tell about it on the week that you get back. Just sometime in the week that you get back. So everybody think about it. And now we're going to do a thing called Make It So, which I thought was a phrase I made up until I heard that it's actually a Star Trek phrase, which made me very sad, because I thought I was so clever. And it's just saying it out loud. So the person you made the eye contact with, longer-haired person goes first, just say, I'm going to talk to blah, 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 the name, in the next week. And make it so and declare it out loud, okay? So when we do that, then the other person goes, we'll do that super quick. Make it so now. Long-haired person go. So this is just an exercise to get you thinking about how to maybe do your thinking of VA rep a little bit differently. Oh, look at that. I'm not the only shusher. Yeah, this is just a way to get you thinking a little bit differently about how you might expand the circles of people you talk to. It's not just the usual suspects. It's anybody. This cause is really, really, really important. I don't need to tell you that because you're here. So if you understand how very, very, very important it is, you're not putting anybody out by telling them about it because that's how important it is and that's the difference it's making. So you just want to rethink maybe the way you talk about your personal self and what you're doing. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, so what's next? We're going to talk about how to engage anyone at any time, right? Because what it comes to is when we're engaging with people, it's not always easy to start a conversation. And when we want to start a conversation about VA rep, there's some things we can do to engage anybody at any time. And this isn't just about VA rep. I actually do this one at conferences everywhere because some people, it's not always easy to network. People think networking should come really, really easy to all of us, and it's not always that simple. Especially if you're what I call an introvert masking as an extrovert. So for some reason in society right now, we're all expected to be extroverts and super energized and get our energy from these conversations. And introverts have a tricky time because it's not that introverts don't like to network or talk to people, but it can be very energy draining, right? And so my husband who's in the back, I always say he's an introvert masking as an extrovert because it can be really exhausting. And so we want to talk about how you can engage anyone at any time as authentic you, right? So just one more reminder about when we're engaging, what we're really going for with this ambassador thing. So this is a photo that I just saw on the internet. I love the caption on it. Because again, what we're trying to do is get people super excited about VA Rep and what it does. So here was the caption that was online with this picture. And so this is the lead singer of a band called Platinum Blonde, right? Platinum Blonde did more than warm up the crowd on August 18th at the We're Rockin' concert. Lead singer Mark Holmes had fans clapping, shouting, and singing along to hits made famous by the big-haired Canadian rockers in the 1980s. He had fans clapping, shouting, and singing along. That's what you're going for when you talk about VA Rep. You want them with you. You want them clapping, shouting, and singing along. So we're going to start with the first tip about how to engage anyone at any time. And if you stick with me on this one, I think we can make it through. And here's what it is. Know that nobody's going to find you as interesting as you do, right? Now, with your chapter, they're going to find your chapter interesting, and they will eventually find it maybe as interesting as you do. But when you're first talking about your chapter, you guys are really, really invested in your chapter. That's why you're here today, right? So you're going to want to tell big, long stories about it and tell all the differences that it's making and all the things that it does. You're actually working in a pretty technical part of the mission, so you can really go on about the housing market and all the difference it makes. Not everyone in the beginning is going to have the time and interest to listen to all of that. They're going to want to know what makes them most interested. So they're going to want to ask you questions, right? But we get really excited. And we want to learn how to just hone that in. So when we want to be interesting, the first thing we want to do when we're talking about VA Rep, when we're talking about it when we meet that person on the plane and they ask you, what does VA Rep do? You want to keep it short and sweet. You want to pick the best of the best of the best information. You want to be able to talk about it in a nutshell of the difference that VA Rep makes for people. And you want to do it in a way that means something to you, energetically and thoughtfully. It's just like when I talk about what it is I do. I can come up here and really the way I introduce myself is I say, I'm Deirdre, I'm a national speaker, I'm a published author, and I own a company called Momentum, where I help organizations achieve their goals and I help their leaders sleep better at night. The bio went on. I really don't need to have bios that long because I know people don't really care about everything that I do. I can tell you stories about the books I've written and what they're about and the clients I've had. And what I know is nobody's going to find that stuff as interesting as me. I do, because I live it and I love it every day. So what I do when people ask me what it is I do is I get to the good stuff and I cut out the rest. And that's what you want to do when you're thinking about your chapter, is what's the best thing that I could tell this person right now about VA Rep to get them more interested. Not all the programs you have necessarily, not the biggest, longest story. How can I keep it succinct so they're going to understand and want to know more? That's the best thing you can hope for when you're telling someone about VA Rep, is that they want to know more and then ask you questions. So you want to keep it short. You want to embrace the 1/3 rule. And this is when you engage anybody about anything at any time. I firmly believe this, that anything you say and anything that you write, and this includes emails, can be cut by 1/3 and be better for it. It's tricky, but I think we all know someone who sends us emails. Does anybody even have someone who sends them emails and they're kind of big, long, blocky paragraphs? Do you ever read them all the way through? No. Not because you're not a nice person, but because you don't necessarily have the time or the interest. So somebody put all those words down for you to read, and you're skimming. And that makes sense because we're all busy people. So for most of us, we can cut something by 1/3 and have it be much better. I cut 100 pages from my first book before it went to print, not because I didn't find my story fascinating, but because I wanted other people to get to the end. And this includes, do you guys ever do like direct mail appeals or fundraising letters or brochures or things like that? You really want to keep that stuff short and sweet. You want to embrace white space. If you find yourself playing with the margins or playing with the font sizes to get it on a single page, you want to stop and cut it, because that's a cut. Do not do that. That is a sign you can cut, I promise you. And if you want to know if your emails are too long when you're talking to people specifically about VA Rep at any time, read it to yourself before you hit send. And if you really want to know if it's too long, read it out loud to yourself and see how long you get. Because I have to do the same thing. I read all my emails before I send them and I cut it. Because I think, how can I get people to get to the end of this? I do the same thing with my blog. Keep my blog short and sweet as best as I can. So embrace the 1/3 rule. Know your elevator pitch. Be ready with that elevator pitch about VA rep. VA rep matters because X. VA rep does X. Period. You don't want to be making it up as you go because that leads to rambling and maybe not the intentional message you want to give about VA rep. It's going to change every time. You don't need to have it rehearsed word for word, but you want to basically be able to say VA rep matters because of this. And here's why it matters to me. And here's why I think it might matter to you. And have a story ready that's short and sweet. Okay? So, to be clear, you do want to talk about VA rep. You don't want to be mysterious. You don't want to be mysterious about yourself either. You just want to stand out by leaving them wanting more. Okay? So I have a little email here, and this is just in general to just show what not to do. I'm sure nobody would do this. This is a personal email I received. And I'm going to set the stage for you that it came from a colleague who I knew very, very, very little. Very little. So I was writing up a profile of some board members for this organization, and we were going to send it to the press. And so I interviewed her and wrote up a little profile on her, and I sent it to her and I said, is this okay? And I didn't hear back from her. And I followed up and I said, hey, just want to make sure you got my email. Is this profile okay? This is the email she gave me back. And she sent it to me. And again, I knew her very, very little. Hi, Deirdre. Thanks for checking in. It's been a busy week between our board retreat, my largest event, then flying to DC, and then getting hit with the stomach flu. Yes, I got to spend yesterday throwing up more than a dozen times from 2 a.m. through 4 p.m. Since we're in a hotel in DC and not in the comforts of home, it was even worse. Luckily, the pharmacist at the nearby CVS suggested Dramamine to Robert as the Pepto was only slightly helping. When you are throwing that up, what else do you do? The good news is that I am back upright today. The Dramamine worked well enough to allow me to take in some saltines and flat diet Sprite and to fall asleep. All huge victories. I still have a slight fever today and I'm shaky, but I'm keeping food and water down and now need to build back strength as I have them. On the profile, love it, no changes, cheers. So, and that's true, and it's a totally true story. As a matter of fact, when I got that email, first of all, did I feel bad that she was sick? Sure. Did I need all that information? Did I care? Not even a little. But I'm sorry she was sick. The only reason I was so glad to get it is because I thought it would make such a good example of what I'm talking about right now, and then I'd use it in my presentation. But that's my point. I think we all know people like that. Just don't be one of those people, especially when you're emailing about VA. Okay, here's what I'd like you to do. Think of a favorite VA rep story from the last year. Just one. Just one favorite memory. One favorite memory. Okay. I want to know who can tell me that story in 30 seconds or less. And I know you guys can do it. I have a couple of ideas. So the point is, I think we all know the point. We don't need to rush through our stories. But if you're doing storytelling on your website about VA rep, you don't need to make it 6 paragraphs. In fact, don't. Put in a great photo and a beautiful caption, or a great photo and a paragraph or two, and people will read it. And make it short and sweet, and they will pay more attention. That's really what we're trying to get at for this one. Okay, here's another way to, our second tip on engaging anyone at any time. Oh, any questions? Anyone disagree? Anyone love those big, thick emails that you receive from people about their Pepto? Oh, someone just got one. Did someone just get it like during this session right now and you're looking at it? Okay. Okay, ask great questions. This is great for VA rep. It's also great when you're networking around anything at any time. Again, I practice this every week at Rotary. And so what we want to do is learn how to get what I call a level deeper, which means all of a sudden, I don't just know a guy in a gray suit from across the room and we talk a little bit. I know about Bob. And I know a little bit about what makes Bob tick. And all of a sudden, if there's something that Bob has that I need, or a connection that would be helpful, or he has something that I can, or he needs something that I can help with, we're on a level where we can help each other out. So if all of a sudden you need help for VA rep, or you're looking for someone to re-up their donation, and you're getting a level deeper, then again, you're able to call and you say, Lauren, was it Lauren? Laureen, look, I know this is why VA rep matters to you. And it's that time of year again, and I'm going to ask you if you would be willing to give your donation again. In fact, I'm going to ask you if you're willing to raise it by $500. It's very different than doing a cold call or doing a cold email because we don't know these people. So we get to know them and go a level deeper by asking great questions. So if you're at a loss or not, it's a great networking opportunity. Okay, so the first thing around asking for great questions is to be creative. It's easy when we're all in here in this room. You can even try this with each other over lunch. You're going to know that you're all, the easiest question to start with is, where's your chapter? Which chapter are you from? What's that about? But the way to get even deeper is to go deeper from that. So many of us are not living in the cities that we were first born in. And I know this is especially true in the military world. And so there's always a story that got us to the city. So where were you born? What brought you here? What's the favorite state you lived in? Why? How do you feel about this weather versus that weather? What's your favorite part of this city? Do you have a favorite little hang-up that I should know about? A favorite little restaurant that would be great for me to know? Oh, you have one boy and one girl? What's the difference between raising a boy and a girl? I met a woman the other day who has an 8-year-old daughter and a 23-year-old daughter. And I asked her, I said, what is that like to do it again the second time? I said, you basically had 2 kids, not concurrently, but consecutively. So you're going through this parenting thing twice. What's that like for you? How is it different the second time around? So you're using their answers and coming up with questions that will get you deeper. And the great thing about it is, first of all, a lot of people love being asked questions and love kind of giving their story, which is great. And by the way, if they don't, they'll let you know. And they'll let you know without having to say a word. Same thing, by the way, if you're going on too long, they'll let you know. And they don't have to say a word, so you always want to pay attention to nonverbals. But a lot of people like being asked questions. A lot of people feel special when you want to know more about them because you are interested. And the great thing is you wind up finding out fascinating things about people that you never knew. Even people you thought you knew. So for instance, when I was in Rotary, and I was meeting with someone who was a retared dentist, I was sitting next to him, his name is Bud. He was wearing a seersucker suit. And I thought, what can I learn about Bud that I didn't know before? And I sat down to lunch next to him, and I asked him a few questions. And it turned out, and this is what happens when you live in California, that Bud was Michael Jackson and Diana Ross's dentist when they were kids. And I was extremely excited by that. I don't know why, but I was extremely excited. And I got to learn something about Bud that we then talked about later. So you wind up learning amazing things about people, and that's how people always ask me, how do I remember names? How do I remember this about someone? You remember names because all of a sudden, I know Bob. And it's not like I see a guy and I'm like, what's your name again? I'm like, oh, there's Bob. Because I know him. It's not a trick. When you get to know someone a little deeper, then you get to know them on a level different than what color shirt they're wearing. You want to be interested when you're engaging with people. This is a tip, not a trick. So as you're talking to them and you're focusing, you're listening to what they have to say and seeing what you can find out. Because we're in this life in a lot of ways for relationships. I don't care how you feel about other people on a general level. We all have people around us that make a valuable life to live. That's really what we're going for. So making more valuable relationships and interesting relationships is very enriching to our lives. And we want to be present. What does it mean to be present when we're engaging people, especially when we're engaging people about VA Rep? It means, no, this goes away, right? So here's the thing about the phone. Here's the thing. I have this theory, and I firmly believe it, that we are addicted to the ding. So right now you're at this Leadership Academy for the next few days, and you're going to be looking at your emails. And maybe you're going to tell people that the reason you're looking at your emails is because you don't want to feel overwhelmed when you go back to the office, and you want to take care of them now, and maybe that's partially true, right? But here's the other thing. When our phone lights up, or we get a ding that says we have a text, we have an email, we have a phone call, someone is reaching out to us, and that is very exciting. I always say that, what's my name? That was perfectly timed. We just got really excited because your phone is on. A ding before we see who it is like an unwrapped Christmas gift. Someone wants us, someone wants to connect with us, maybe someone needs us, someone's thinking of us. It's very cool, it's very exciting. So, when we have that phone around and we're engaging with people and that ding goes off, it's very hard. I know that when I am engaging people, because I work with a lot of clients, I do a lot of facilitation, I do a lot of marketing. If I'm working with a potential client or working with a client and my phone lights up, I probably don't have it in me not to look over here to see who it is while we're engaging. So what I know what that means for me is that I gotta put it on vibrate and face down and put it away. Now, does everybody do that now? Is it socially acceptable to have your phone out? Pretty much. You want to stand out? You really want to engage? You really want to get people to support VA Rep because you're having a really focused conversation and explaining why it's so important? Phone's got to go away. And a lot of times we say, I might have an emergency, I'm going to keep my phone out. We have less emergencies than we think we do. The truth is none of us are as important as that. And if we do have an emergency, we can say that at the beginning and say, I might get this call. If that happens, I have to run and I apologize ahead of time. But that should really be the exception. That should really be the exception, not the rule. If you want to engage and get people to support in a way that's really meaningful and focused and form those relationships, that will make it easier when it comes time for that almighty ask for fundraising. Because you're not going to do that right away. You're going to engage with Bob for a while and find out what makes him tick. And then you're going to say, Bob, here's what I know. I know that this is what matters to you. And this is what we do that I think would really connect with you. And today I'm here to ask you for a gift of $1,000 to make that happen. Are you willing to do it? Oh, we got a wow. But he's getting his checkbook. You getting your checkbook?
Yeah.
He's getting his checkbook. He's even going to go up from 1,000, right, Bob? That's right. Okay, because you all of a sudden know something.
That's right, Bob.
So you're being
Invoice Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Very good. Right? So that's how we engage, and that's not just about VA rep. That's anybody at any time. You want to stand out from everybody else? That's what you got to do. And you can do it, and you'll get to those emails later. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to practice the question asking thing. So, you've got your person that you made eye contact with. Right? You'll have a minute to ask questions, to find out the most fascinating thing you can about them, and the question you ask may not be, what is the most fascinating thing about them? No cheating, okay? So short-haired person will ask the questions first, find out what you can. If it's somebody you know, find out something you didn't know before. If it's somebody new, you're starting from scratch, right? And what isn't going to be an answer is where they're from. That's your starting point. So short-haired person, go for a minute, and I'll tell you when to switch. Go. So I think what this showed is something you could do at any time to engage anybody, if you wanted to, for any purpose. When you're raising money for VA rep, when you're engaging with people who you think could be donors or could donate again, what you want to do first is form that relationship with them. And the way to form that relationship with them is to get to know them one level, at least a level deeper. And by asking great questions, you can go back and talk about so many things that you couldn't have talked about before, right? I'll never forget that skiing story, right? So I could ask that, I'm sure the philosopher, I'd be like, hey, how about that skier that broke their leg? I'm sure I'd be sensitive about it, but you form relationships and then you ask for money. So when it comes to the money asking part, which we're gonna get to, the relationship matters first. And then we get to that. Because you know what matters to them. Eventually you will get to, VA rep does this. What about VA rep do you think most resonates with you? What's your own story? What do you think could be something that we could do more of? What's your opinion about it? Then when you know those things and you go back to ask them for money or to ask them to be a part of your organization in some way, you can say, I know this matters to you. I know this about you, and I know this matters to you, and I'm here to ask you for that donation today. It's not going to make it super easy, but it's going to make it more of a personal relationship, and that helps. Right? So that's what we're looking for. And it's great to have relationships with other people. Questions about that? Any questions about the question asking, the nugget? Oh, I'm supposed to do this. Okay, tip number 3. Energy begets energy. Now, your energy matters. And this is especially true when you're talking about VA rep. So you see somebody and you've had a long day and you guys are doing the work that you're doing and you show up to somebody and you want to talk to them about VA rep. What you don't want to say is, it's a really serious situation. We need some help. I'm really tired, but I'm here to talk about VA rep. Because the energy that you put out is the energy that you will get back. Energy begets energy. So when you go out and you talk, even if you're networking and it's not about VA rep, you're looking for a job, you're looking for a raise, you want to talk to people and make some friends, it's your first day at a book club, you put out the energy that you will get back. So that's what you want to remember when you're engaging with anybody at any time. So you want to be bright, even if you don't feel it. You can be authentic and be bright, especially when you're talking about VA rep, even if you're tired. So there are some days that I'll have a bad morning and I'll find myself going to Starbucks. And I will, maybe I'm just not in the greatest mood, or maybe I had somebody cut me off on the way, or I'm running late for something. And the Starbucks barista will say, how are you doing today? I never say anything about what's going on except for this answer. I'm swell, how are you? Why? Because if I tell her about the morning I had, she's not going to care. See tip 1. She's not going to care. It's not her job to care about my bad night, right? It's also, I take pity on her. I want to form a nice relationship with her. It's not her problem. And I want the best coffee that I can get, of course. And here's the other thing. Swell's a great word. Best word ever. And when I say I'm swell, I feel better. I feel better. Swell is such a great word, and it makes me smile. And when I look at it and I say, I'm swell, how are you? I feel better at it. And that's the kind of engagement you want. People don't want to hang around with Debbie Downers all the time, or people who are tired all the time. When you show up at work on a Monday morning and someone asks how you're doing, the answer is not tired. It is not tired. That's what we do because we're being honest and we're tired. But you want people to remember their engagement with you and their time with you positively. Not have their energy sucked away because your energy is sucked away. And that's especially true when you're talking about BA rep. You want to be excited about what it is that you're selling in the most authentic way to you. So you want to remember that favorite memory that we had a while ago around VA rep. And when people say, why are you involved? You want to say, let me tell you what VA rep is doing. Right? G2? Am I right? Let me tell you about what VA rep is doing. Let me tell you why I'm so excited and why I think you might be excited too. That's very different than, woo, we need some money. We just we really need some money, or we want you to join the board. Could you just join the board? You know, it's not going to be that we have good lunches at the board. What you want to say is, I'm excited about this. I'm really into this, and I think you will be too. And that's a different kind of energy. That is lifting yourself high. Even if it's been a tough year, you can say, the economy, it was a tricky year with the economy. Here's how we're coming out of it. We have some really exciting things coming up with VA Rep. I can't wait to tell you about them in an authentic way to you. That's very different than please help us out. That's what a lot of nonprofits do. I work with nonprofits all the time. Please help us out. Having a tough time. We really could use help. No. You have nothing to hide. You have nothing to hide. You're here for a reason. You believe in this mission. So get people excited about the mission, and then they'll want to give them. Be positive and feel more positive, as I just mentioned. Lighten up. Your work is serious. My tips are serious, but I think what you can tell is I don't take myself so seriously that I can't be relatable to you. And when you're talking about the work of VA Rep and you're talking about why it's so important, you still want to be able to engage in a way that's relatable. The work is serious, you want to be relatable, right? So you want to be knowledgeable, you want to be professional, and you also want to be relatable to be the most awesome you that you are. Here's what I know. Every single person in this room is awesome. I know that, right? Yeah. Anybody going to disagree with me? Yeah. Someone's going to disagree with me? No, you're not allowed to disagree with me on that. I might have to make you do burpees just for that. Everyone here in this room is awesome. So what this is about, when you're talking about engaging with other people and asking for money, is being awesome you. Awesome, authentic you, the best awesome, authentic you that you can be. And when you're talking to people about VA Rep, pulling that out. And saying, here's what's going on, and here's why I'm excited. And showing that enthusiasm, right? You want to avoid this face. So when we're asking for money, we're going to be talking about this in a bit. The actual ask, which I know is a thing that can give people hives, and maybe not, if you're G2. But for the rest of us, what we do is we go up to someone and we say, Louise, we got a budget, and I'm here to ask you for, I just hope it's okay, $1,000, and then you auction down. You say, $1,000, $750 be okay, or $500 be okay, and we do this. We want to avoid this. Don't do this when we ask for money. We do that when we ask for money because we are uncomfortable. They are not. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to hide. You're not raising money for rent. You're raising money for VA rent, right? So you want to remember that. You want to be enthusiastic, and we're going to talk about this. Even when it's hard, even if it's hard to ask for money, I know certain people can do it. Yeah. I know certain people can do it. The rest of us can't. I want to say this really clearly. I was speaking to a group of 100 people who belong to the Association of Fundraising Professionals. Let me say that again. The Association of Fundraising Professionals. There were 100 people in the room. And I said, how many people here love the ask? 2 people raised their hand. 2 people. And that's about right. And this is the Association of Fundraising Professionals. That's what they do as a job. Right? So what that says is, asking for money isn't necessarily easy. We can do it, right? So when we're out there, we don't want to make this face. We want to say, Lorraine, I'm going to ask you for $1,000. And you're going to stop talking. You're going to stop talking. I'm going to ask you for $1,000. I'm going to let Lorraine answer me. And you're going to say, yes.
I'm going to say, don't ask for money like that.
You're
gonna get a tip.
She's gonna say, give me a tip. No, I'm gonna ask you for money.
More.
She's gonna give me money, and then I'm gonna get in the car and say, oh my God, that was so hard. That was hard. That was hard. But in the moment, I'm gonna smile and say, Bob, can I ask $2,000 today? And he's gonna get a check. And then I'm gonna go in the car and I'm gonna call up my husband. I'm gonna say that was really hard, but nobody's gonna know that was really hard because I have nothing to hide, and I have to have the energy to look like I have nothing to hide, even though it's hard for me. Just because asking for money is hard and awkward for you, maybe, unless you're G2, doesn't mean you have anything to hide or you want to make it look like you have anything to hide. So we have to get past that energy. We have to get past that pace. So practice, 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 and if you can, if you have had a foul day and you are just not able to come out of it, or you are exhausted and you are not able to come out of it at all, and most of the time we can, and you're supposed to be representing VA rep somewhere, don't go. It is better for people to not have an engagement with you than to engage with you in a way that makes them remember it negatively, especially if you're representing VA rep. You're representing an awesome cause, you're awesome people, be awesome, and then go do everything else in your own time that you can. Questions on energy? Okay, so I'm going to go over the 3 tips again. One of them was know that nobody's going to find your chapter as interesting as you do, so keep it short and sweet. Number 2, ask great questions, be present for them. Number 3, energy begets energy, and lighten up. I want you to think about which tip could most help you as you're engaging others about VA rep or not. Or, is there one I didn't mention that's your best tip of talking to other people and engaging? Okay, so pick one of those. Long-haired people. Are you ready? You're going to share with your group, just each have about 30 seconds, and then we're going to go around, okay? So go, long-haired people, which one? Okay, how can you get your boards excited? And then I swear we're going to get to the anatomy ask. I just want to run a few things by you, a little bit about the fundraising paradox for boards. Okay, this is obviously an old picture, one of my favorites. Shh, one more, couple more minutes and then you got lunch, I promise. Okay, so here's our vision. Here's Sean's vision. We pull together boards and we think, oh my God, we're going to get all these great people and you guys are awesome people and they're going to love fundraising and they're going to go out there and they're going to raise lots and lots and lots of money because everybody can do it and everybody gets why it's so important and we all get it. And then Sean has to feed the unicorns because that's actually not true and it's very hard and it's kind of a myth and everybody loves asking for money. Not everybody loves asking for money. So, why is the ask so hard? Why is the ask so hard? Because money is something that's very personal because we were all brought up with lessons about money. Money is a value of our worth. What were we told as kids? We were told to make more money as we get older. That means we're more successful. It means perhaps we're more valuable. Maybe money was a source of conflict in our homes. Maybe we never had enough of it in our homes. Maybe our parents stressed about it in our homes. Maybe money was an issue that made us feel bad. Money is very personal. Even today, I never knew what my father made. My whole life. They never shared that with me because it was seen as such a personal thing. We're not sitting there at these tables asking everybody what they're making. Because it's personal. It's a statement of our worth. So asking for money feels very personal. Asking for money, we're also really nice people. We don't necessarily want to put other people in an awkward position by asking for money. Right? But now we've talked about that. We're really giving them an opportunity to be involved in something we love. That's what we have to remember. The other thing that happens when we ask for money is they can say no. So we're putting ourselves out for rejection. But what we're remembering is we're not asking people for rent. We're asking people to be involved, and it's not personal. What they say back to us does not have to be personal. We're a conduit to VA rep, and there's 100 reasons as to why maybe they can't do it. Because here's the thing, when you ask for money, some people are going to say no. And we're going to have to get over that and not take it personally. We have to know we're doing our best for VA rep. But that's why asking for money is so hard. That's why fundraising is not necessarily fun. That's why one person in this room really, really loves the ask, Mr. G2. And the rest of us are like, oh, I know I got to do it. Oh God, the art of fundraising session's coming up. Maybe I should go out and get some work done. It's like we all know that, but it's important. We all know why it's important, right? Because the work you're doing is so important. You need money to do it, and you guys are the most excellent ambassadors to get it done. So what this doesn't mean, I thought you guys would appreciate this. The truth is, that with our boards, and when we bring people on, most of our board, if not all of our board, they're never going to love asking for money. They're never going to love it. But that doesn't mean that they get a free pass, right? No free passes. We need them to be organizational ambassadors, to do whatever they can do to bring people in, even if it's engaging people and getting other people like a G2 who love the ask to do that. But we have to try to get over this fear. We can get over it. It's just going to take some work, okay? So how do we build a fundraising program for our boards? Because a lot of people here represent boards, right? Yes. So, yes. So how are we going to do that? Okay, a couple of steps, and then we're going to get to how to conquer the close. First is understand the reality that fundraising isn't always fun, and that when we bring people on board to be on our board, and we love them, we're going to have to help them along to get them into this board fundraising role. What happens is, if you need a license or a certification to get a car, to fish, to hunt, to do a bunch of things. You don't need a certification or a license to become a board member. All you need is the passion. And that's great. But what doesn't happen is people understand what it means to be a fiduciary agent. They don't necessarily know what it means to fundraise. People say they're a board member. They should get it. They should know they're supposed to raise money. And I always say to people, especially when it's staff, have you ever told them? Have you ever taught them how? Have you ever given them the elevator pitch to do it well? Have you ever walked them through the successes and failures that we've all had in it and really had a real conversation? No. What happens is board members sit around a table and everybody says, okay, we all got to ask for money, and everybody thinks everyone else gets it, and they're the only ones who are making a call to someone and praying for voicemail. Praying for voicemail when everyone else around the table is too. Because none of us really, really love it, except for G2. And maybe Son. I think Son's good at asking. Actually.
No.
I get that sense, yeah. So 2, that's about right. So we just need to understand that reality, because then we can deal with it. It's what I call popping the bubble. If you have a whole boardroom full and you're talking about raising money and everybody thinks everyone else loves it, then you're not having a real conversation. If you don't love it, let's talk about why you don't love it and how you can do it anyway. Okay? Step 2, explore the various roles that boards can bring in support. So there is the direct ask. There's also giving, right? You really want to have 100% board giving if you can. We all believe in time, talent, and treasure, but if you're going to be going out and asking for money from other people, it's whatever is meaningful to you. But if you don't have if you as a board member aren't giving any money to your organization, it's very hard for anyone else to. Why should anyone else? So it's giving even whatever means something to you, but having 100% board giving is important. Or maybe you're asking corporations, and one of the ways boards can help is they can go along on that ask. Maybe they're not the one doing the actual ask, but maybe they can be there. There's very few of us have a problem with saying thank you, though I will say I know a lot of board members who even that phone call is really hard. But saying thank you because someone has helped in a mission you care this much about is a great step to getting more comfortable with the rest of it. Bringing people to your events, writing grants, there's lots of different ways that people can help bring in support for your organization. So what are all the ways that boards can do it? And then you want to decide very thoughtfully for your board, what is it expected to do? And I want to tackle this right now. So does everybody know about the give and get? Or give or get is what I call it. So a lot of times your board will have a give or get. Son, do they have give or gets on their boards? Or is it all determined by? Okay.
Yes, I'm clueless.
Okay, so who's clueless? So I won't do this too long. A lot of boards deal with a give and get, or I call it a give or get, which means board members are expected to bring in a certain amount of money. If you're going to do that on your board, you want to be really thoughtful about how they're allowed to do that. If they get a donation for an auction that doesn't have a monetary value or isn't money, does that count? When are they supposed to bring it in by? How are they going to be held accountable? That's different than 100% board giving. 100% board giving means 100% of your board gives something. And it's very nice to be able to tell other people that your board has 100% board giving. As a matter of fact, some organizations I know put it right on their website because it means a lot. Funders are looking to that. Corporations are looking to that. A give or get, or that's the give and get, means you give something, and then maybe there's a requirement on your boards to also bring in money in a certain way. You just want to be really specific about what that is and how boards are allowed to do that and how they're going to be monitored when they do that. So you want to decide exactly what your board is expected to do and make it super clear. Put it in writing. When you're bringing in board members, tell them we expect you to fundraise and we're going to help you do it X, Y, Z. You want to put it in your board job description, your roles and policies and procedures, and review it as you go. You want to tell them what the expectation is. If they're expected to fundraise, let them know that coming in. Tell them you're going to help them do that. And then educate them on how to fundraise. Educate them on your elevator pitch. If every chapter doesn't have an elevator pitch, you want one. Because you want to make sure that everybody on your board and all of your volunteers who are asking for money are giving a same voice about what VA Rep does, and then adding their own authentic spin to it about why it matters to them. But you want to keep it consistent as far as the message of VA Rep. And you want to arm them with something to say when people say, what is VA Rep? I see you have a really cool shirt on. What is that? Tell me about it when you're reaching out to people. Educate them about your cause, the latest trends, what's going on, why it matters, an elevator pitch. Give them tchotchkes if you can, give them shirts if you can. Arm them with everything that they can have. You want to help keep them inspired. Maybe at your board meetings, go around and share a mission moment. Maybe one person at each board meeting shares a story of someone they helped or their favorite memory. You need to remember what you're in this for, especially when you're talking about fundraising, because so few people really, really, really love it. So if you really, really, really don't love fundraising, you have to remember what you're selling is that important that you got to do it anyway. And to remember that means to refuel that passion, right, Carl? So you want to keep people inspired. Have everybody share their stories. Share what got them involved. Share what keeps them involved. People get involved for one reason, but stay for another. Probably the people, it's probably a story. Get their favorite memory, go around. Keep remembering. Have people come in who you served who can tell their stories about why it matters. Keep that going. Because you're the ones who need to stay fueled and keep that energy going to get everybody else excited. Equip them, we talked about with the elevator pitch, with the tchotchkes, with the shirts. You want to thank your board members just for trying, for signing those letters, for calling out to people, for asking for money. Even if it isn't successful, you want to thank people each and every time they try. And you know what? If they try and it doesn't work, you want to have a safe space for them to share that too. Because we're all going to learn from each other's successes and from the situations that aren't that successful. Let's have a real conversation at your board meetings about what fundraising is, what's working well, and maybe what's not working so well so we can all work on it together instead of pretending that everybody else really does love fundraising and we're the only ones. That's not to say fundraising is bad. Fundraising is awesome. This is sales. You guys know sales. My father was a salesman all his life. He could sell anything. This is selling something so important to you. It's just about keeping it in mind. And knowing that when you're asking for money, it's not your rent, it's not personal, it's about this cause that you guys love so much. So remember why you love it, right? Any questions? Any other thoughts? Okay. What's next? It's your moment. What's your name?
Alfredo.
Alfredo behind you? Yeah. Andre? Andre is all about the clothes. She wants to know the clothes. But you can too. That's good. Okay. So what's next? Conquering the clothes. 0 to 10. Okay, good. We're good. Okay. So there isn't a magic pill that I can give you. I wish there was, because I would be a millionaire to give you to make you love and ask for money really, really well. We got to work through it together. And asking for money, there's some steps you can take. You know, it might not be the easiest thing ever. I don't mean to be so Debbie Downer about it. I just want to be super realistic that we don't necessarily all love it, but we can do it. We have to, because that's why this cause is so important, right? Okay. Oops. Oh, it might have given up the ghost. Oh. So why am I pushing this so much? Why is San having me come in here to ask about money? I want to share a couple stats with you. Okay. This is why it's so important you guys get comfortable with this as much as you can. As much as you can. A survey by Cygnus Applied Research found that 42% of respondents would give to a nonprofit they had not supported in the past if someone they knew asked them for a gift. You know what the number one the reason people give money is?
They're asked.
Yeah.
Bingo, they're asked. So somebody's got to ask. That's you! But we'll get better at that, okay? Another, it was from a review of a book called Charity for All. And the book was written by Ken Stern, who was the former president of NPR. And the person who was writing the review said, Stern was quick to acknowledge that NPR's $250 million gift from Joan Kroc had less to do with strategic fundraising and more to do with a pleasant brunch between Kroc and the charismatic former NPR head, Kevin Close. So we want to do our strategic fundraising. I'm not putting down fundraising plans. I'm not putting that down. But it's all about engagement. It's all about what you learned how to engage. It's all about keeping that passion, being likable and awesome, smiling, right? You're not going to get that kind of money every time. But people give because they're asked to give. And you guys are awesome and love this cause. And that's what goes together. Okay, so confident in the close, the challenge, what we think, we've gone through this, that we're asking for rent. What we learn is that money is a value of our worth. We have to think about it differently. It's not about us. We're a conduit for this awesome organization and whoever it is going to give to it next. What we fear is that they're going to say no, and they might, and we'll be fine. We've gotten rejected before, all of us, right? So we're going to be okay, right? I know. Okay, so here's some steps. We want to prepare. So the first thing, like we said earlier, we're not just going to show up and say, Pat, will you give me $3,000? Now maybe I could, because we're kind of tight. But I wouldn't have done it at the beginning of this session. You get to know people on a level. You get to know what makes them tick. You get to know what they care about, right? So you want to think about, who am I going to ask? There's 3 ways to bring in money. You're going to ask for the first time. That usually happens with friends of friends or events. You're going to ask them to give again. And that's a good one. That's low-hanging fruit. And you're going to ask them to give more than they did the last time. You're going to upgrade them. So there's prospecting, there's keeping it, there's maintaining, and then there's upgrading. That's our 3 things, right? So we want to think about who we're going to ask and in which of these ways are we going to ask them. There's all different ways you can be doing this concurrently. We want to think about what we're going to say. We also want to do our homework on what do we think this person can give. There's different ways to find this out. We know what people are doing. We don't know exactly how much money they have. If they've given before, we can always use that as our base and ask for a little bit more. When we're prospecting, we can find out as much as we can about the people that we're asking. We can do our best to surmise and try and figure out what, and you guys know this from the industries you're in, how much they might be able to give. So we're going to do our homework. What is this person's situation? Do they have kids about to go to college? That doesn't mean that people want to give, though. A lot of times we make excuses. A lot of times we don't ask our volunteers who are low-hanging fruits to give because they're giving of their time. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't love being able to give in a financial way. That doesn't mean they wouldn't be honored to do that. We make excuses for them. We decide, well, if they're volunteer, maybe they can't afford it. No. That's not a word. So we want to think about each person, how much they might be able to give, do our homework, right? We want to think about what we're going to say and get that together. And we want to think about what we're going to ask for. Okay? And as we do that, we're going to do our homework, and we're going to build these relationships as we go. We're going to get to know someone, they're going to give a gift, and the next time we talk to them will not be an instance where we ask for their money immediately again. We're going to thank them first. We're going to see how it's going. We're going to update them. When I was running my nonprofit, every time somebody gave, we were a big organization, $1,000 or more, I offered them a tour. I signed every letter myself. If I knew them personally, I signed a little note with a smiley face. If I didn't know them and it was the first time they gave $1,000 or more, I called them. I thanked them, left them a message. Phone calls go far, especially in this day and age. Right? So we want to do all that homework first and engage. Then, as we're getting ready to ask for the gift, we want to practice being natural. Remember, we're going to think about, okay, here's why we love VA Rep. Here's what's in it for us. When we're talking, we're going to be relatable. This is serious. This is not tragic. We're going to go in there, we're going to be serious and relatable, right? We say, Bob? Serious. We're going to say, here's what I know what matters to you. I'm going to be natural about it. I'm going to have a conversation with someone. I'm not giving a speech or one-way speech. Having a conversation, I'm having a dialogue, and I'm going to do my part. We practice being relatable and confident. What does confident mean? Confident does not mean sitting like this, or looking down, or making this face. Confident means standing there, not arrogantly, and saying, this is important. And looking people in the eye. Honest. You have nothing to hide. You're doing awesome. My father was a salesman for Scott Paper. My father sold toilet paper his whole life and loved it because he loved the game. And he was so excited when I got into sales and fundraising too. But for me, it couldn't just be about the sale. It had to be that I believed in what I was selling, because I knew that if I believed in what I was selling, yes, selling. Selling is not a bad word. Selling is not a bad word. It gets a bad reputation. You are selling something important. If I believed in what I was selling and I looked people in the eye and I was authentic me, I would get results. I would get people to listen. Not every time. But you can be honest because you have nothing to hide. You got nothing to hide. You have something awesome. So just remember that. And energize. Energize, energize. By the way, if you're setting up a meeting where you're asking somebody for money and you are not a morning person, do your best not to set that meeting up in the morning. If you are a morning person and you get tired throughout the day, do your best to not set up an evening dinner, right? And if you do, get yourself ready. to conserve your energy all day. I'm a morning person. I'm glad I'm doing this speech in the morning. If I was doing this speech at 3, this morning I'd be very low key. I'd be eating well, not engaging with a lot of people, being quiet, because what I know is I want to be ready for 3. So you want to think about that. You want to think about your own energy and how you're going to bring your best, authentic, energized you to this table. You're all going to keep practicing your script. So what does that mean, your script? So I've said this a few times now. I've said, Bob, and you'll hear me say this. Here's what's going on. I know what's going on with you. I know that this is what matters to you about VA Rep. I'm going to tell you about a few new things we have going on. I think you're really going to be interested because I know this about you because we've done our homework and we've engaged. Bob, I'm here to ask you if you're willing to give a gift of $1,000 today. $1,000.
You're being cheap. I asked for a month of retirement pay.
A month of retirement pay, Robert. Robert doesn't need this session. Yeah. And I'm going to look at you and know that no matter what Bob says, it's not about me. It's not about me. Right? And I'm gonna stop talking. Stop talking. Because what happens when we talk? We talk ourselves out of it. We talk them out of it, and we give them a way to just not answer. Right? So Bob, will you give it? And he's writing right now. He's writing his check. He's got his check right now. That's right. Thank you, Bob. I wish it was that easy. But what you want to do is get your points together. It doesn't have to be a super long conversation. You don't have to make a super long case. They're not going to want 10,000 stats. In fact, chances are, if they're getting together with you and you've set up and you've engaged with them before, they might even know what's coming. They might expect it, especially if they're a big donor and there's nothing wrong with that. That somehow eases the tension, right? Some of them might just say, can we cut to the chase and can you tell me what you need, right? I bet you too has had that happen. I've had that happen because people know. Or they might even say, I don't need to give with you. Let's just talk about this over the phone. And then they might, you want me to give again? And that's when our moment is to say, I do want you to give again, but actually what I was going to do is ask you for an extra $500. And then stop talking. If that's what we were going to do. Yeah, I know. It's scary. It's scary. So we want to know our script and our sequence. We want to know what we're going in with. It's just like any other hard conversation we have to have. We've all had to have hard conversations where we've quit jobs, or broken up with people, or maybe disciplined somebody. This isn't, again, I don't want to play down about the fundraising. It's awesome. It's great what you're doing. And because it's hard, you just want to be prepared with your points. It'll be different every time, and you want it to be because you want it to be natural. You don't want to be reading from a script. But I know that this matters to you. I know you don't want to be doing that. We want to be relatable. We just want to know our sequence, right? And then we want to practice getting it out. We want to practice being able to say that and getting it out and then stopping. So I'm going to practice. Bob, this is what I'm going to say to you. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to keep this face. And if I really, if I'm dying inside, I'm going to wait till I get to the car. And I'm going to go, that was so hard. But I'm not going to do that to Bob's face. Because I don't want him to think I have anything to hide or anything to be ashamed of in this ask. Okay. So much easier said than done. We're going to remember, energy begets energy. We go in and we say, we're in a crisis, we need your money. Nobody wants to be part of a sinking ship. People want to be part of a solution. People want to be part of a solution. Yeah, we were in a hard spot last year. Wait till you hear what we're doing this year. Can't wait to have you be part of it because I think you're really going to be into it. Because I know this because we've talked. This is not personal. We're asking them, we're making the question. It's not personal about our rent, and their answer is not personal to us. We've all been told no before. We will get over it. Tomorrow is another day. A no does not mean we are not worthy. A no does not mean we are bad people. A no does not mean we've offended anybody. We make up stories about all of this. If they say no, they're going to hate me for life. No, they're not. They know what you're trying to do. And even if they do, you're doing what you need to do for VA reps, so maybe that's okay. Remember that it's an opportunity to share. Don't make up stories that other people don't need to be bothered with VA rep because you don't want to bother people. This is your opportunity to share an experience that matters with someone else and to get them involved. It's very exciting. And you're going to be feasible and fair. When you're coming up with what to ask for, you're not going to look at someone whose 3 kids are going to college and ask them for $3 million. You're not going to do that. Because you're going to be feasible and fair and you're going to give thought to how much money you're going to ask for. And just remember you're going to get to the end. It's going to be fine. Get to the end of your sequence, ask for the money, and then stop. And then stop. So that's what you're going to remember. And then step 5, sometimes you just got to do it. You just got to do it. So you're going to show up, just like other conversations you've had. You're going to be confident with your speech. You're going to remember why you love this place, right, Carl? You're going to remember your passion. You're going to remember why it matters. Maybe you'll start with your story that you're going to keep short and sweet. You're going to remember that latest story that they told you about about something about them, and you're going to go into it, right? So you're just going to do it. You're going to resist the voicemail temptation. So if you're calling someone and you're trying to set up a meeting and you want to ask them, the voicemail temptation or the email temptation is, oh, I didn't get you, so I'm just wondering if you would give me $500. Bye. That's going to get you out of your ask. Do not do asks that are meaningful by phone, voice message, or email message. That's us cupping out because it's awkward. Now, sometimes we do it by direct mail, and that's fine. But if we're doing an ask and we're asking somebody for real money, whether it's a corporation or an individual, and we want to have them coming back, and they're giving $1,000, $1,000 is a lot of money for a lot of people. And we want to deal with authenticity and sincerity. So we want to be able to do that as much as we can. Use your sequence. Act confident, even if you're not feeling it completely. Watch their nonverbals. Watch their nonverbals. If they're sitting there with their arms folded and they're done, you can stop talking and you can say, you might know I'm here today, so I'm just going to get to it and ask you for this gift of $1,000. If they're leaning in and they're really into it, you can engage them more. So watch their nonverbals. They will let you know how it's going. And you want to act and react accordingly. And spit it out. Spit out your sequence as best you can. It's going to be great. It might not be perfect, but get it out and you'll get better as you go along. Promise you. I promise you. And remember, know this. Know this. No, will you give me $1,000 today, $500? Would you give me $300? No, it's okay. I'll give you money. Do you need money for bills? Not bad. Yeah, not been a high. Okay? And when it's over, thank them no matter what. They say no, I understand. What I'd like to do is keep you in the loop. I'd love to keep you on the list so you know what we're doing, and then maybe we can engage at another time in the future. And then you engage with them at another time in the future. You reach out to them. Hey, I know when we last spoke, we were going to give it some time. I wanted to reach back out to you, tell you the latest that's been going on. Would love to tell you more. What do you think? Okay? So thank them no matter what. Follow up the way that you say that you will follow up. And celebrate that you did it. But you're not going to celebrate right there. You're going to celebrate in the car. You're not going to celebrate right there. Yes, I asked for money. Yay, Bob gives me the money. And if he gives me a great check, we'll celebrate together. But you know what? Even if Bob doesn't give money, in the car, I did it. I can share with my board the success. And if it doesn't go well, I can share with my board that I tried. And I can tell them how it went. And we can learn from each other because that's why this is so important. And we can help each other stay inspired through the notes. So we're going to celebrate that. Yes, sir. Okay, super quick. Super quick. As soon as I can get this smooth. Okay, what's next is you, being awesome you, helping to bring in more support for your organization. Okay, so I just want to say, my mother likes to say that she doesn't have a grandbaby, but she has a grandbook. So this is not my baby, but this is her. So this is my first one. It's called The Mission Myth, Building Nonprofit Momentum Through Better Business. It's the story of how I ran my nonprofit for 7 years, made a ton of mistakes, and then figured some things out. It's divided up into management, money, marketing, and measurement. Includes lots of board stuff. We have some here for $10 if anybody's interested. You can get them over the next 15 minutes before lunch. It's also available on Amazon as an ebook. And I will also say that Mission Myth does have 2 siblings, and that is Tough Truths and Bogus Balance. And Tough Truths is the 10 leadership lessons that we don't talk about. It's based on my blog on the Huffington Post. We're also going to have a sign-up for my blog. I do it twice a month. If you didn't like the way I talk today, don't get my books or sign up for my blog. You won't like it. But these are the mildly audacious truths we don't talk about. They'll be over there for $5, also available on Amazon. And then my other one is called, just out this May, so it's a newborn, Bogus Balance, Your Journey to Real Work-Life Bliss. It's about the fact that work-life balance is actually not achievable. It makes us all pretty feel really stressed, but we can be happy anywhere, and then walk you through how to do that. So all of these are going to be available over here for the next 15 minutes. Jay, my husband, is over there. He's very good at the swipey. $10, $10, and $5, and the little one is the 5. With that, I'm going to give you my information this way. Oh, and if you said you can't make the slides available, so Sana's going to make the slides available. Oops. And then that was my email. There's my email. With that, I'm going to thank you guys very, very much for your time.
Thank you.
Quick question.